Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today's video is going to be a collection tour, because I have to say one of the things I get most asked about is to do tours of my sort of room and my collection, and one of the ones that people ask to see all the time is my Mego doll collection. So here in front of me is the large part of my vintage Mego dolls collection, and we're going to go through this collection today and I'll show you each of the main sort of sections and why I like the figures. So let's just get straight on with it. As an adult toy collector, I think the first Mego doll that I actually managed to pick up and add to my collection was this vintage Captain Kirk. Now when I found him, he didn't have any trousers and he didn't have the utility belt or phaser. It was just the sort of the bare bones of a figure, and I think I paid, it was like £3 or something at a toy fair, and I picked him up because I'd always liked sort of the Mego dolls, and I remember as a child I had a couple. I think I had Batman and Robin, but I was a big Star Trek fan, so when I saw this for £3 I grabbed him, and over the years I've added the sort of the trousers and the utility belt. He's not in amazing condition, but he's just sort of one of the early figures that I picked up, and I've just sort of had him ever since and not bothered to sort of even restore him or anything. It's just sort of been sat there for all those years, probably sort of 20-25 years now. And then maybe a couple of years after that I found a Spock. Again, this is the original one that I picked up, so nothing much has happened to him. He's always been missing his belt and accessories, but the figure itself was in relatively good condition. The outfit was a bit dirty, so I more than likely have washed that over the years. And these are the only two of the Star Trek figures I actually have. I probably should get more because I've always been a big Star Trek fan. It would be nice to have the rest of the sort of crew here, and even maybe a sort of a Klingon and a couple of the other sort of aliens. But as far as Star Trek sort of currently goes in my collection, it's just these two. I have a lot of the smaller movie sort of Mego figures, these 3 3/4 inch figures, but the 8-inch ones, it's only these two. Another long time collecting passion of mine has been Space 1999. I've loved that show for absolutely years, even from when I was a child. I had the Dinky Eagles and played with those. And as soon as I sort of learnt as a collector that they made versions of the sort of Mego dolls but by Palitoy, I had to track them down. And these have actually been a sort of a long-term goal to get the full set of these. I think the very first one I found was the Mysterious Alien, and I bought that in a strange shop sort of many years ago, maybe sort of 20 years ago, and I think I paid £10 for him, and it was the first figure I'd ever found from this line. And I kept seeing the rest at various toy fairs, but they were always out of my price sort of range and price bracket, and just things that I couldn't afford. And it's only in the last couple of years that I've actually managed to track down the rest of them. I got Captain Xantor a while back. He was one that I found at a toy fair. Then I got the remains of Paul Morrow in an eBay purchase. He's not complete. The trousers are reproduction, as is his belt, but he was good enough. And then I was given the remains of an Alan Carter by a viewer of the channel, who I sort of managed to complete over the years. And then recently I was given a John Koenig, which I've got a video of me restoring it, and that was the final one that I needed to get this sort of full set of figures. And they are lovely. They are very unique to the sort of UK section of figures, because I don't think these were released anywhere else in the world, and so a lot of collectors want them in their sort of Mego collections. But for me, I really wanted these as my sort of love of Space 1999, and to go with the sort of the rest of my Space 1999 collection. I just think they are a fantastic set of figures. I've even got a sort of couple of sort of custom things that I've been working on in the background. One of them I'll show you now, which is the space outfit that they gave to Alan Carter. Was a really very basic thing. He's just got a sort of almost like a sort of motorbike helmet, but in the show he should look more like this. So this is some of the classic TV toys sort of accessories I've added on. I haven't bought all of their accessories because I didn't think it did sort of justice to what the toy should look like, so I bought a few just to make it look half like the original toy and sort of a little bit more like the show. So we've got the sort of the pack that goes on the front and back, and we've got the more TV show accurate helmet, but the rest of the outfit is still the same. So he's still got white boots, and he still doesn't have any gloves on, because I quite like the fact that his hands are bare. It just sort of makes it look a little bit more like a toy. So this is my sort of custom Alan Carter. The figure inside is an original one, but all of the rest of this is just sort of reproduction pieces. So I have that on my display as well. So we've got the original 5 figures and my sort of custom Alan Carter to stand alongside them. Ponch and John are two figures that you'll have seen me sort of restore in videos over the years. These are both from Chips. And now Chips I did used to watch as a kid and absolutely loved it, but I never knew that these figures existed, and so it was only as an adult toy collector that I found them, and a couple of people have donated various parts of them, so I thought it would be fun to get them sort of back up and running. Both of them still have a few issues. I think you can see Ponch's face is still quite grey. I've not bothered to try and sort of fix that again. I'm just going to leave it because you can sort of get a bit of colour back into it, but it just sort of fades over time, so I'm going to leave him as he is and love the sort of wabby-sabby nature of his face, the fact he's got a little bit of a zombie grey colour. And John still doesn't have a belt. The belt is actually a black cable tie that I showed when I restored this figure. It's the same cable tie that I put on then. I keep seeing the belt sort of for sale. I actually saw one fairly recently on eBay and was about to purchase it, and then thought, no, I just quite like the fact that mine has a cable tie. So these are exactly the same as they were when I finished filming the restoration on them. Now, Batman and Robin were two figures I actually did have growing up. My mum had picked them up from a jumble sale or something like that and brought them home. Both were missing all of their accessories, and Batman certainly didn't have his cape or anything like that, but I really enjoyed having them as figures and sort of playing with them because we were watching the TV show at the time, and it was nice to be able to have the two figures to sort of recreate some scenes from that afterwards. And these are ones that I have restored sort of in recent years. They both have the little fighting feature on the back of them, which is not something I'd ever seen as a child. The ones I had were the sort of basic versions of the figures, so it was nice to sort of see that there was a different version available. And I was just really pleased to have these sort of back because they bring back so many memories to me of playing with Batman and Robin as a child. Now we come on to Starsky and Hutch, which was just such a popular show when I was growing up. I think pretty much everybody remembers having this little die-cast corgi car, or maybe the bigger one if you had a slightly bit more pocket money to spare, but I certainly remember playing with this car in the playground. But I never had the figures, and it was only, again, a recent sort of thing for me to get these two into my collection. I managed to pick Hutch up at a flea market, and he was in reasonable condition. I think one of his legs was broken and he didn't have the correct waistcoat there. And I already had Starsky in my collection because I'd picked up the sort of the bare bones of his body off eBay for, I think it was about 99p, because I wanted to use some parts from it to fix another figure, and he was a very cheap figure because his hair was all messed up and everything. So once I had the two figures, I thought it was just ideal to fix them up and get them sort of back together and back looking as nice as they do now. It was actually quite hard, if I remember, to track down all of the pieces for them, because some of the bits of outfit, especially the jeans, I had great trouble finding. And I know on this one the boots are reproduction on both, the boots on that one and the sort of the moccasins on Starsky here, but it doesn't matter because the overall effect means that they look really nice, and these have been on display ever since I repaired them. These are three relatively recent additions. We've got two from the Fantastic Four. We've got the Human Torch and Mr. Fantastic, and then we have Captain America in the middle. Neither of these are ones that I'd actually remembered from sort of my childhood. Mego certainly didn't seem that popular in the UK, but as I've been sort of collecting other ones and researching and looking online, I'd seen all of the ones that were available and knew that these were out there. So it's nice to have some sort of what I'm going to class as new toys in my collection, just because I'd never had these as a child. These seem quite new to me, and they're all fun to fix up. I think on these mainly it's been fixing uniforms and stuff, because none of them had that much damage to them, repairing limbs and replacing limbs, but mainly fixing up the uniforms and obviously making a new sticker to go on Captain America's shield. But once they're all done, they do look great, and they're a lovely addition to my collection. Now we have poor lonesome Dr. Zaius from Planet of the Apes. This is the only Planet of the Apes figure I have, and it's one of the only Type 1 body figures I have as well. Most of the figures I've seemed to have got Type 2 bodies, but you can see this one is a Type 1 body. I would like to get more Planet of the Apes figures. I remember as a child I had one of the gorilla sort of soldier figures, but since then this is the only one I've sort of added to the collection. I do love the film, and it's a sort of a classic of the sort of 1960s and 1970s, and I think these figures do a remarkable job of sort of recreating the look of the apes from the movie. So at some point I hope to get some more. You will see in my sort of box of bits that I'm going to show you later on in this video the remains of a couple that I have sort of as future projects, so you never know, at some point I'll get those finished and I will be able to add to a sort of my Planet of the Apes collection, but currently it really is just this one figure. Friar Tuck is a bit of an oddity in the collection because it doesn't really sort of fit in with the rest of them, but I was given the sort of the bare bones of this figure in a sort of lot of stuff, and when I was sort of searching and buying replacement parts from the Dr. Mego website, I saw that he had pretty much all the pieces to be able to finish this figure. So the figure is original, but then the outfit, his little bag, his little sandals and the pole are all reproduction ones. When I did the restoration on this, I actually made a pole out of an old paintbrush, but since then I picked up a reproduction one as well. I think my paintbrush is probably slightly better. This is a little bit on the sort of bendy side, but as I was buying a load of reproduction parts anyway, I sort of added it to the collection. But he really doesn't fit in with the rest of the stuff I have. All the other ones are sort of quite superhero or sort of space related, and this one is just a little bit of an oddity that sits there with the rest of them. And he's perfectly nice. I have no problems with having him in my collection, but really it doesn't fit with the main sorts of things that I collect. And this is my sort of project box. I've got a lot of broken toys all around here, and this is where I keep all of my sort of Mego bits and bobs and things that I should get round to restoring at some point. And sometimes there are sort of little things that I sort of mess about with. On the top here you can see that we have Hutch dressed in a Buck Rogers outfit. The outfit is from a modern sort of Buck Rogers figure, but I didn't really like the sculpt of the figure or the way that his body was put together, and it just so turns out that the outfit fits perfectly on a Mego doll. So for the moment it's on a spare Hutch that I had. I was thinking of maybe sort of repainting his hair to make him look a little bit more like Buck Rogers, but for now it just looks sort of quite nice like that. At some point I might do something more with him. I think this outfit is really nicely made, and it's a shame they didn't do a great job in making the figure, but good old Mego comes to the rescue, and you can make quite a nice little sort of custom. So that's my custom Buck Rogers Hutch that just sort of is yet to find a home in my collection. And then we go into this box, which is where all of the sort of bits and bobs that I sort of collect and have waiting to work on sit. So there's a gun, that's one of the ape guns. Tony from Analog Toys sent me a broken ape, which is still in here, and at some point I will fix him. And then you can see there's spare heads. So what have we got here? There's Fonz, there's a couple of Robins, there's a Superman and a Batman, just some spare parts. Then we have some, these are Action Jack outfits. I've got a few sort of spares for pieces. You can see there's a Spider-Man outfit. I don't have the rest of Spider-Man, but I do have his outfit. So there's lots of parts, some other doll clothes, and then we have bags of bits. Now these are from the Classic TV Toys sort of website. These are bits for Space 1999 outfits. I've ordered things from them before, and they've been a bit hit and miss as to actually how good they are and whether they actually complete the order. So I've just got lots of bits waiting for projects. And I've got bags of broken limbs. They've all got useful parts on them, but they're all broken in some way. So there's sort of hands and feet. And when I need bits for projects, this is where I go to first. I've got more. That's a Classic TV Toys version of Paul Morrow. So again, useful bits if you're building Space 1999 stuff, but the figures themselves I don't think are that great. Then what have we got? Some Golden Girls just in there for no particular reason, and a few sort of this is Shonen Cyborgs. These are Japanese toys. They're about the same size, which is why they end up in this box. And then you can see at the bottom, under a few more bits and bobs, this is sort of what I'm going to class as projects. These are all broken or useful pieces that at some point I will work on and fix up. So we've got Tarzan, who doesn't have his sort of under jumpsuit. Well, that's a Star Trek figure without a top and without a head. Then we've got another version of John from Chips, missing legs, useful for parts. This was one that I was sent recently by Kevin from Zarnista Studios. It's a sort of pretty beaten up Superman. I need to find some new boots for him and other bits, and then I'll tidy him up and he can go sort of in my collection. There's a spare mysterious alien from Space 1999. There's another Captain Xantor from Space 1999. I don't have the outfit for him, but at the moment he's wearing a sort of a spare space suit. Another Hutch dressed in a Space 1999 costume, just for a bit of sort of variety. And then all sorts of bits and bobs at the bottom. So we've got, that's Tom Baker, the Doctor Who Mego with a few bits of damage to him, no outfit. And some other spares and other Action Jacks, and I think that might be one of the Planet of the Apes characters, but I'll have to look into that. As you can see, so it's just a sort of few bits of everything. There's a broken android from the sort of Henshin Cyborgs and cyborg stuff that you can get here in the UK. And there we have, this is the soldier ape that Tony from Analog Toys sent me. As you can see, he's got a busted leg and he's missing most of his uniform. At some point I will find parts for that, because I still want to get that one fixed up. And Muhammad Ali as well, I think he's got damage to his fists. So this is just sort of my project box. At some point I hope to finish all of these, but I'm just sort of hunting for parts, and at some point they'll all get fixed. So there you go, that is my complete Mego collection as it stands today. It's a bit of a mishmash, as I've shown. There's no sort of rhyme or reason as to why I've got most of the figures. The ones I really wanted to collect are obviously these Space 1999 ones at the front, but then there's a whole load of others that I just pick up because I like the figures, or people send me stuff and I get intrigued by them. And once I've got them, I really enjoy sort of working on them and fixing them. And then they're sort of part of my collection. It's a nice way to collect. I like the sort of odd things like this, that there's no sort of real reason to the collection. It's just a sort of a bit of everything. At some point there are some more figures I do want to get. It would be nice to get a few sort of Planet of the Apes ones, and I think I do need to get a few Star Trek ones as well, just to help Kirk and Spock out, because they're a little bit sort of overwhelmed at the moment. They don't have enough backup, but really I just enjoy finding them as and when, and it's not a collection that I sort of actively go out and sort of search for. If I see something, I will just pick it up, but it's not one that I'm sort of actively trying to grow. I just will find them as I find them, and I think that's the best way to collect. It's just enjoy sort of randomly finding stuff as you go around toy hunting, and it's nice to have a collection that doesn't really have a sort of a purpose or an end to it. And a lot of these, as you can see, are a little bit sort of beaten and worn around the edges, but for me, as a wabi-sabi toy collector, that doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfect, and they don't have to be complete. If I've repaired things and they look good enough, that will do for me. So I hope you've enjoyed my sort of tour of my Mego collection. If you have, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.